This is Gadget Stop 321. In today's video, I'm taking a look at my favorite notepad for taking notes, especially ones that are disposable. This is the Rhodia Ice Pad. Now, this is the top staple bound version, and it comes in several sizes. I've got the A5 here. It's, when I spread my hand out, it's slightly larger than that. I also use the A4 size, especially this time of year when I'm designing my end of the year reviews. We're finishing up the school year. I use this a lot for planning. This is the A4 size. It's slightly different in dimension than like a US spiral bound notebook. It's a little bit, the sheets are a little bit more narrow and a little bit longer, but they're roughly that size. Now the reason I'm showing this one is since the covers on these are white, they will, if you just throw them in a backpack, they will get stained. This, I don't know how well you can see that, but this one gets thrown in my backpack a lot, and it's setting up against student papers, so I'm sure this is all just pencil lead that is rubbed off on those. And so you've got the A4, which I use a lot this time of year for end of the year and beginning of the year planning. The A5 is half that size. And then I've got another tiny tablet. I haven't started using it yet because I've got this Marlmon tablet that is nearly the same size. But it is, let's see, this is A4, half of that is A5, half of this again would be A6, and half of that is an A7. So this would be awesome if these were sticky notes. They're not, but they're still a useful little size for taking quick notes. Now, this is the A5 is my most used all-around size. Now, these ice pads come in top staple bound, like I have here, and that's what I prefer for my use. But you can also get side staple bound that are similar in style to like a field notes. It's like one signature, a few pages staple bound together, and they range in size from the larger ones down to the small, almost field note size notebooks. But this top staple bound is my favorite for the use, for what I use it for. Disposable notes. They have a perforation up here at the top that they rip out cleanly every time. And one of my favorite features is the color of the ruling. Now, I have the grid. These notebooks come in line or quad ruled, and I have the quad, or I call it graph paper. And if you know graph paper here in the United States, if you go to an office supply place or a Walmart or a dollar store, something like that, and pick up a graph paper notebook, it's always this blue ruling. And so is your spiral notebooks. The line ruled paper is always blue with a red margin line. But the good thing about these ice pads, the lined ruling and the quad ruling are all this pale gray, and I didn't realize how much I would like that till I actually got one, and I really like that a lot better than the blue ruling. It's less distracting. Now, this quad ruling is a little bit smaller than what you might be used to with American notebooks. American notebooks, I think, tend to be, if you're using graph paper, it's 4 squares per inch. This is 5 millimeter, which is just a little bit smaller, but it's a nice size. These notebooks have 80 grams per square meter paper. It's very pleasant to write on with pens or pencils. That's one of the reasons I like these so much. Sometimes I prefer to use pens, sometimes I prefer pencils. So I thought I would do a quick writing sample. And let's see. Yeah, I think this is going to work. I've got a fine nibbed Pilot Petite 1. This paper is smooth. It's not glassy smooth. It doesn't have a glossy coating to it. It's got a satin feel to it, but it's very smooth, pleasant to write on. I've got a Platinum Preppy fine nib. Those are two fine nib pens, but are still very smooth on this paper. I've got an extra fine Lamy Studio. It's a 14 karat nib. And I've got a Pilot G2. I don't prefer gel pens on this, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. I actually prefer to use my gel pens on less fountain pen friendly paper. Let's see, I've got a Zebra Delgard 0.7 pencil. I enjoy pencils on this paper. It's nice and smooth, but the pencil still puts down a dark line. Let's see, this isn't the lead that came in this pencil. This is 2B, so it's going to be a little bit darker. This is my TWSBI Precision, and this is the lead that came with it. It's an 05 with HB lead. I've used these two together quite a bit, this combination. And all of these are very pleasant on this paper. I want to do a quick ink drying test. I haven't done this, I'm doing this for the first time, but it seems to me like gel ink doesn't dry as fast as fountain pen ink on this paper. This paper tends to be ink resistant, so the ink sets on top of the paper and doesn't tend to absorb in it as much as it would a lesser quality paper. So I'm going to test how quick the ink dries. We'll see how this works out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to try that one more time. I missed the 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, it didn't do as bad as I thought it would. It looks like, now on the first test, the 5 did smear just a little bit, but it didn't smear as much this time. So it looks like it took around 5 seconds for the gel pen to dry. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let me try the fountain pen. This is the petite one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the fountain pen did dry quicker. Within about 3 seconds, it was dry. Where here, in 4, sometimes 5 seconds, it's still smearing. So I prefer fountain pens and pencils on this paper. Pencils write really smoothly on it. The paper's really dense, so you don't have that sensation of the pencil sinking down into the paper and, you know, just an unpleasant feeling. It really glides over the surface of the paper, and the fountain pens are really smooth on this paper. So that has just been a demonstration of my favorite fountain pen friendly and favorite pencil paper for taking disposable notes. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.